again, I want to thank you for purchasing a Linds Handmade Designs sewing pattern. Let's jump in and get started. If you're at this point, you've purchased your pattern, you downloaded it and saved it to your device, and you went ahead and printed out your pattern pieces. Now, before you go ahead and print out everything, what I recommend that you always do to start is you print out one page and you double check this test box. So all of our patterns have a 1 inch or a 2 inch test box that you're going to measure, and it should measure exact. I'll show an example of a picture where someone said it's printing spot on, but it's still not measuring right. Well, it's not spot on. As you can see in the picture, it's an 1/8 inch off. So make sure that this is spot on, that your printer settings are great, and you're ready to print the rest of your pattern pieces. If on that first page it's not printing 2 inches, then it's a printer setting. So you'll need to troubleshoot that, make sure that it's printing at 100% or actual size, that it's not force fitting within margins, okay? So once you've troubleshot your printer, you have your pattern print pieces printed out, all of the test boxes have measured correctly, then you can go ahead and start cutting out the individual pieces. Got all your pieces cut out. Now I want to draw your attention to the wording that's on your pattern pieces. So this one you can see says main body exterior. It says 1 of 4. So you should automatically assume that in your pile of cutout pieces that there are 4 pieces that go with this pattern. And as you can see here, I do have the 4 pieces. Then it says 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4, 4 of 4. You always go from left to right, top to bottom. So 1 of 4 goes to the left, 2 of 4 goes to the right, 3 goes to the bottom, and 4 goes also to the bottom. Then you're going to line up these diamonds here, or these triangles, to create diamonds on the top or the bottom. Now they may be diamonds, they may be circles, but they do give you instructions. Match triangles on corresponding piece to create diamonds. So all of those should line up perfectly. Our dashed line should match up perfectly, and the outer edges and diamonds should match up perfectly. Then you know you're on the right track. If you're trying to put it in any other order and diamonds are not lining up and stripe or dashed lines are not lining up, that should trigger something for you that something's off, okay? So once we've got it all lined up and we see that it matches really well, go ahead and tape them in place. Lastly, once you got your pieces all taped together, there are almost always dimensions listed on the pattern pieces. You want to cross-reference the dimensions that were listed here with the actual measurement. So go ahead and get out your ruler and measure side to side and top to bottom, and make sure those measurements do actually line up. If it's shorter or longer and that test box was just a smidge off, you're going to really see it on these larger pattern pieces. Something that prints really small, you may not notice any discrepancy at all if it's just an 1/8 inch off. But an 1/8 inch off on a large pattern piece will measure incorrectly. So that's your final verification step. You got it taped, you got them all landmarked correctly, and now your measurement, you're good to go. Now, what if you have something that's a really wonky, odd shape like this? That looks really confusing to me. Again, I'm going to draw your attention to the wording on the pattern pieces. It says 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. And then it's got the name of the pattern piece. So you're going to go ahead and make sure you have 3 pattern pieces to know you'll have enough to have all your pieces correctly and able to line them up. So once you cut this out and you line this up, that looks correct. That looks like a normal pattern piece. So just make sure you're reading the words on the pattern piece and following the directions and measuring your test box. Now here's another example of a feature that you might see on one of my pattern pieces. You have this gray box. What the heck does that mean? Well, if you read on it, it says, if using a directional print, cut out this window from the pattern piece only. Center the featured fabric within this window to show on the flap. So if you do not have a featured fabric or directional print or anything that needs to be perfectly centered, you would not cut out this box. However, if you do have something you want front and center on the fold of a flap or something, I've added this box to help guide you so that part of the design does not get lost on the back of the bag where the fold occurs. So you would just cut this away so that you have now a clear window in your pattern piece. This one was small enough that I was able to laminate. It makes it a little bit easier to work with. But something like this, if you go ahead and print it out, it becomes really difficult to work with. So print it on cardstock or laminate it if you can, or don't cut that box out at all if you don't have a directional print. But what do I mean by a directional featured print? I'm talking about something like this. So I want to use this as an example. If I did not have this window cut out, so you can't see through your pattern piece, and I go and make sure that that design fits perfectly on it, it does, right? But now I cut out my piece, I make my bag, and this is a fold. This whole top portion of the design is going to get lost on the back of your bag. So you're going to only see this part. So I've added this more as a guide so that you don't have to ruin materials and learn the hard way that this isn't going to be seen on your bag. Now, this other pattern piece that I used as an example, again, I could center it on the piece, but now after the bag is said and done, this is the flap, it's going to be off-centered and it's going to drive you crazy. So you're going to actually want to center the design within the window. And again, make sure that you have enough border to cut out the entire piece. So I hope that clears things up on printing pattern pieces and assembling them and getting started on your project.